Audio test. Audio test. 1, 2, 3. Audio test. 1, 2, 3. How do people who stream go live and know if the audio levels are correct? I guess I have to listen to myself. I have to go straight into this because there was this one guy last time who was like, I cannot believe you waited 5 minutes before you actually started talking. That's outrageous. How could you do this? Okay, I'm here. 1 minute in, I'm talking. Literally just for the VOD viewers. I wake up, and here I am. So hello VOD viewers, while I set everything up. Once you don't see this red screen, that's when I'm going to start talking. Once I check that I have got everything set up. And I'm not a fool. Hello, Joro A. Oh, yeah, sure. I'm just enjoying the music, to be honest. I don't really listen to HOI4 music. I usually play with it off. Okay. Oh my god, you can stop. We got it. You can stop. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, hello to anybody, VOD viewers. Hello VOD friends, welcome. Today we're going to be having a short yap stream. It's not an official video, okay? I'm making one of those. That's separate. This is completely casual. The long and short of it was, there have been like, I don't know, 5 different Dev Diary-esque things to do with both HOI4 and CK3 over the past week, and there's probably going to be one in like an hour. So I was like, my goodness, this is a tremendous amount of stuff to go through, and it just doesn't lend itself very good to a video. So I don't know, not going to be a mega long stream, just kind of going through some news, looking at some stuff, talking about some stuff, maybe looking at some videos, and then ending. So if that's not to your liking, there you go. That's a summary of what's the hip hop, of what's going on here. Definitely not a stream for everybody, but if you're interested to know what's been going on with HOI4, that's where we're going to be at today. So strange. Hello, my dude. Hello back to you. So let's see if I can understand how to switch scenes. Today, 15, etc. ETC. Right, we get news. We do get news. Well, let's start with HOI4 news, because I feel like most people would sort of come here for HOI4. Right, stream. This is why you do testing, right? This is why you do testing. See, this is what I should have tested. Are you going to make a video on how Graveyard of Empires turned out? I am going to make this stream. I'm not sure if there's too much to talk about other than talking about it in this exact stream, right? Because it was a complete disaster. But I'm trying to figure out how to get this other scene working, which is why it's like muted and it's like not warped correctly. So give me like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I'm just not good at this, okay? Okay, do you hear me now? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. If you can hear me, let me know. Yes, good. So you can hear me here. Oh, fantastic. We can get started. You see? I didn't take too long, okay? I didn't take too long. I've got it in my head. I've got this guy in my head who was so mad at me for doing like a 10-minute intro last time, where I didn't start talking immediately because I was trying to get this all set up. And I'm like, okay, I'm here immediately. My bad. Okay. So, you have no sound. Why are you saying I have no sound now? I thought I fixed it. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to listen to myself. I'm getting gaslit in real time. Do you have any sound? Testing, testing. Yes, I do have sound. Why would you say that to me? Krasner, you sent me down a rabbit hole of delusion. Okay. There's no music. It's just me talking. Okay. We're gonna do the Malforian edition where we just sort of sit here not saying anything. Let's address the first major bug I have encountered with the release of Graveyard of Empires, right? When you look at the forums, but quiet as normal. Quiet, 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 quiet. I mean, I can raise the gain on the microphone, but once you get up to here, you're going to start hearing like background stuff, and that's getting kind of weird. I don't know how good that is. The VOD is always up, don't worry. It's just going to be me yapping. This is such a terrible intro. But don't worry. Okay. Let's address the first bug, right? The first major bug. And the first bug is, you see in the forums here, it says Hearts of Iron 4, and it says no further introduction needed. When you go to CK3, there's nothing here. And as a result, the lineup between the words featured content and featured content is askew. Look, you see? When you flip between them, terrible formatting. That stressed me out already. Oof, unplayable, unreadable, disaster. Okay, update from the developers. Wow. For those of you who weren't aware, Graveyard of Empires had a fantastic launch. Completely without any issues, which could be evidenced from my video, in which I felt obliged to stick a disclaimer in the video, in the description, in the speech, and in the comment section, where I had to go into the files to change stuff to make the thing I was trying to do work. So that was one hell of a pre-build. Let me tell you that. Whatever you got on launch, okay, like the launch day patch, I'm telling you, I was on a completely different world of gameplay, okay? What I was experiencing was new. I guess what's interesting is, I'm going to be very conscious of like the stuff I say, NDA, but a lot of people say online, on stuff like Reddit, where was the, can I F11? There you go, that looks much better. Where was the pre-testing? Where was the playtesting, right? Why wasn't it tested? And I can sell you at least of like however many creators got early access to it, I didn't count. There was more than a week of playtime there, right? But it's so I'm so unsure about like what their timeline is of playtesting versus how much is it us playtesting and telling them stuff. I think I told them 2 or 3 things. There is no open beta. No, there's not. Well, they want people to buy it, right? That's the thing. They want people to buy it. But I was just thinking about like the amount of issues were much higher than average. From my experience, I usually have basically no issues with DLC releases, but this is the first time I ever played the DLC, and I struggled to not encounter a bug. When I played Iran, it crashed my game, and that was my original video idea. And I was like, "Oh goodness, this is not it, Chief." So I did India instead, and India was a good start. But later on, I literally got soft locked out of a decision, and that was kind of the moment I just lost all faith. I was like, okay, this video is gonna need some amending. It's gonna need some Oscar to really bring it all together. And it seems that, there was some negative reaction from the community. So let's see. Greetings all. The risk of stating the obvious, the release of Graveyard of Empires has not gone the way we wanted. Today I want to post a mini retrospective that explains some of what happened leading up to the release and how we plan on acting on the results and subsequent feedback reception forward. Right. One of the most important parts of the pre-release process we perform in Studio Gold is the go/no-go meeting. Okay? This is where each discipline, QA, tech, design, marketing, business, that's interesting. That's an interesting, collection of people. Like, marketing and business is separate. How do you reckon that is? Like, the people running the company versus the people who are creating the promotional material. But I'm wondering, how much this aspect of it weighs into this aspect of it, which weighs into this aspect of it, which then weighs into this aspect of it. If you get what I'm saying? What's the anyway, present the perspective on the game and state of the game, the expectations of the likely reception thereof. So they consider how liked it's going to be. We do this so we're all on the same page and jointly arrive at a consensus on whether to launch or not. In GOE's case, while we identified some areas of uncertainty, mostly relating to dev diary feedback, there was nothing out of the ordinary here. Interesting. And that a release at this stage was acceptable. I don't want to diminish my role here, throw anyone under the bus, but I did not. I did not see what I should have seen. Interesting. To be honest, the bugs were not... While I think it's definitely one of the buggiest releases, I think the stumbling block of Graveyard of Empires can be found more so in the depiction of content. I'm not sure how many people are talking about that versus the bugs, because I understand it's easy to say this focus is broken or this formable nation is lacking cause. But that can all be fixed kind of in post, once it's identified, you can get a patch up, and in theory, within a month, all of those issues can be rectified. But something that's a lot more difficult to rectify is vision, and how you choose to represent these things. And with some of them, I'm not sure. They lacked playtesting if Ahio said that the playtester did not find any bugs in 1.16.0. Well, maybe you could say it lacked thorough playtesting, perhaps. Yeah, interesting. Collectively and personally, though, they were quite wrong. An organization unaware of the issues present in this release and inward thinking on how they arrived at the decision, and how they are going to prevent it from occurring again. Here are some of the answers for the short-term goals for putting Graveyard of Empires right, and not sweeping it under the rug. From a long-term perspective, this is now the second release of a country pack which has performed worse than expected. I think for different reasons, but sure, review score is actually a surprisingly difficult metric to evaluate. It is better to think of it as a snapshot that on balance gives us an idea of how much the community considers everything surrounding a release to be a net positive or negative. This can include price, quality, scope. Scope is in italics there, so that's good recognition of downfall. Overall opinion of a company, and many other things. What we tend to do is aggregate the key sentiments of negative and positive reviews and work out, on balance, where the main points for them are against. Or to put it another way, 1.16 could be so much worse, but the playtesters managed to mitigate some of them, but obviously a lot of them are not detected yet before release. I guess, yeah. Again, the bugginess is an issue, right? Undoubtedly it's an issue. But it's not something that I'm much bothered over, to be honest. It's really not, because I do think it can be fixed. Like, all of it can be fixed. When a focus doesn't work, when the localization is wrong, all of that stuff, it's a fix. It's unfortunate that it happens. Sure, people should delay their purchase until it's fixed, but it ultimately will be fixed. It's this thing, it's this scope that they've italicsed that comes down to be the real stab in the neck, because you can't completely change it without effectively remaking the DLC from scratch, and that is just something they're not going to commit the time or resources to do. I don't know, like, what the turnover time was from the outcry against the Silk Road Empire for the Mughals, from changing that to, like, the Timurids instead. I don't know how long they had to cook on that shift once they realized the backlash. I guess I could ask them, but I don't think they tell me, so I'm not going to ask them. Overall opinion of a company and many other things. What we tend to do is aggregate the key sentiments of negative and positive reviews and work out, on balance, where the main points for and against are. The two main negatives of Trial of Allegiance were, in the first, regional price adjustments, okay, and scope. Basically focusing on a place that didn't have too much to do comparatively to World War II in the World War II game. They say it's a bit too early to say for Graveyard of Empires, but first impressions are content direction and quality, as we've acknowledged, followed by scope. Okay, I'm interested to recognize their perspective on scope here, because I'm going to talk about what I think the issue is, but okay. Both regional pricing and content quality are things I would hope are relevant only to the individual releases here. They're localized. Scope, on the other hand, represents a clearer area where we need to offer more of a fundamental level. Scope, in this context, is the nature of what we're offering. The focus trees, their mechanics, 3D models. I don't think 3D models is necessarily, it's kind of like a small thing, an aesthetic, nice thing. It doesn't really contribute to the game experience too much, but sure. The whole package. Content-only releases are popular with some HOI fans, but on balance are not enough to resonate with the majority of the community. Once again, don't have an answer yet, but we're aware of it and we are evaluating how to make these releases more exciting to more people. I have no issue with their choice of region, but at least make it perfect so they can move on quickly to the next region. Sadly, they can't. I never think they're going to make it perfect. With a time period as contentious as this, and with a lot of very... The closer it is to recent history, the more opinionated people are going to appear about how their representation of their nation is going to be. So I never think it's going to be perfect. And finally, in the short term, I want to address our plans for Graveyard of Empires. Beginning this week, we have a series of patches and updates planned for Graveyard of Empires, as well as the base game, in order to both fix and improve content that you have found lacking. I sincerely appreciate all those who have reached out with constructive suggestions. Okay, I'll do that. We have all hands on this endeavor right now. Which is interesting if that means, like, the development of other DLCs is effectively postponed for later in the year because they're spending time fixing this DLC. Why aren't there more Bulgaria and Mexico trees? This guy gets it. This guy gets it. Why aren't there more Bulgaria and Mexico trees? True. Perfection is a plague, settling for good enough, much healthier. True. 3 weeks of Dev Diary Showcase is not enough to implement all the feedback and detecting the bugs. Okay, what is the timeline before I start yapping myself? On the 12th of March, is that today? Is the 12th of March today? I think it is, right? Oh my goodness, it doesn't end. This stream is not going to end. Apologies to anybody who wanted a 30-minute... This is why I need to stop this stream later, and then I'm going to do a video, which is going to be like an abridged version of everything I'm saying for people who cannot be bothered listening to this, because that is completely valuable. Nobody wants to listen to me yapping about this for hours. I thought CK3's in an hour. Are they both in an hour? Really? Oh my god. Okay, well at least I can talk about CK3 for an hour. I've got tea. There was a lot of suggestions for Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan in the forums. They could have had the information they needed. I'm sure they had the resources. I think it's more so a frame of perspective on how you want to deliver said content and how appealing it is to play. But anyway, so there's a patch today, and then there's a patch effectively in a week. Then sometime later in March, which is this month, is a war effort. Is a war effort like a content update? Do I remember that? War effort is like where they add small content to the game. Not necessarily focus trees, but like new decisions, formable nations, that kind of thing. And then April is the mainstay changes to Graveyard of Empires. Okay, cool. That's quite a lot of stuff. I wonder if this is stuff they noticed like as the game was launching. This is stuff they're gonna fix because of the like what people who have played the game have noticed, and then this stuff is the stuff they plan to do anyway. You know, like when you have post time, and then this is the mega changes. What I hate the most is the fact this DLC broke things that were working prior to the release. That's always annoying. But that's been that is not just this DLC. If you go back, I think every single DLC has kind of left something a little bit broken afterwards. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so here's where I stand on Graveyard of Empires. Can we get like an image? I don't actually have the game open. Maybe that's my fault. I should have had it open. Oh, it's funny how it just leaks all of my my things. I've got yes, I have everything, all the HOI4 stuff and CK3 all ready to go. Very good. Amazing. I need to type in like Steam. Thanks. And I need to go to HOI4. Does it recognize HOI4? Graveyard of Empires. How are we doing? Oh, it's going fantastic over here, isn't it? 15%. I haven't looked at this at all. Lazy. Disappointing, overpriced. Yeah, of course, Gotterdammerung. Yes, well done to that guy who recognized. Battle for the Bosporus did not break anything. We've got Battle for the Bosporus's greatest warrior in here. Do you think they should hold further expansions for now and focus on fixing the game as a whole, not just Graveyard of Empires? I think that they don't consider the game as broken as maybe the wider community would say it is. But I do think they've probably halted some development of the next DLC in favor of fixing Graveyard of Empires. Yeah, the ratings have completely tanked. This is utter buggy mess with some of the most bloated and meaningless focus trees I've seen in ages. My goodness. Oh, we're positive. To be honest, this DLC is fantastic. Oh, you love your I should have read. I should have led. I didn't read. Okay, even the positive reviews are negative reviews. That's pretty telling, isn't it? So, oh, that's good. This is a good image. This is all four of them combined. Very, very good. So, Iraq. Iraq, for me, is in the middle tier of what came out of this DLC. I don't hate it because what it gave was a focus tree that allowed you to alternate between ideologies in the same run. So you could go from monarchist to fascist to democratic, I think, like all in the same run, which was an interesting telling of history and the progression of time. So I thought that was well done. what I felt it was a bit small. It didn't open up too much in terms of like where you could go with it. It was a very regional focus tree, very, very regional. The most you could get out of it, I think, was Arabia, like the progression to Arabia. But even then, it's very within its own region. And I don't think it capitalized enough if it was going to be regional. There wasn't enough focuses to explore that region. So I really didn't feel there was enough there, enough meat. There was a Shire tree done in the code, but it wasn't done in time. And the communist path, of course, the communist path doesn't exist at all. Although I think it does to some degree if you play Kurdistan and you shift the nation to being communist, but not like a dedicated communist path, which could be unfortunate. But just in general, it's like I like what there is, but it's just a starter. That's how I feel about Iraq. I also feel like Iraq is the most almost like disappointing, I guess, in terms of what it could have been. Because you get like the Hashemite Confederation thing, but you don't annex the puppets. And maybe that's an oversight, but it just feels like that's intended. And if that's intended, I feel that's very weak. The inability to take the Arabian Peninsula without going to war with the Allies, again, kind of painful. Like, sure, if you're going after Egypt, I get it. But the idea that the Allies would effectively completely shift gears on the war with Germany because Iraq wants to take Bahrain, to me feels so strange. Compared to Trials of Allegiance, the trees are too small, and they need more 35-day ones. Exactly, they do. That's why I thought it was strange that they said the scope was off between Trials of Allegiance and this one. Because I think Trials of Allegiance, you can shoot me, but I think they have decently good focus trees. They're big, good industrial trees. Yes, they are all regional. They are regional, and that's why people don't like the scope, because it's a World War II game, and all you do is form South America. And I get that. But there is a lot of focuses in there to do with going through South America. You can get Peru and Bolivia and Paraguay and all of it, literally all of it, in that region as a contained regional experience. And if you wanted to leave South America, you can and become part of the wider conflict. And that player autonomy, that ability to choose, even if you didn't like the region, meant that playing in that region wasn't painful, apart from maybe the terrain. In this, it's completely screwed. Oh, there would be an Arabian Saddleback joint focus tree. Oh my goodness, I feel I remembered something about a Saddleback joint focus tree. Like, I almost remember that being in like early promotional material. Am I going crazy? You saying that has like awoken something in my brain where like during the initial announcement, way back during Gotterdammerung, you can tell I do too many dev diaries, I vaguely remember them saying something about the Saddleback Pack joint focus tree. That's so strange. Iran core system sucks. I'll get to Iran. I want to finish up on Iraq. So, Iraq. What there is I like. It's not big enough. If it wants to be a regional focus tree, it doesn't explore the region well enough, and it's very finite in what it can actually achieve. The devs hid it from the picture showcases. Maybe I'm confusing it with something else, but I swear I have this strange memory of the Saddleback Pack joint focus tree being mentioned in text form. But anyway, Iraq wants to go after the Levant, but can't because it's all puppets of majors, and there's no way to take it properly because Lebanon cannot be taken. Again, could be an oversight. And I think the final nail in the coffin for Iraq is it's historical, but it's an anti-game killer. They're guaranteed by the Allies. Maybe it is Mandela effect. So I don't know how you all feel, but Iraq wasn't guaranteed by the Allies, now they are, which I guess has some historical representation. My issue with it is that it effectively completely cuts off Iran from having fun in this region. It is your gateway into Saudi Arabia as Iran. It is your gateway to opening up the front with Turkey. You're just stuck on this front. And if you try and touch them, they join the Allies. If you don't touch them, there's a brief window where they turn fash, and then they join the Axis because they're invaded by the Allies during like a historical Allied invasion. So Iraq has basically gone as freestyle, do what you want in the region, also annex them freely nation, into completely deadlocked into the global war, but without any focuses to capitalize on the global war, because it's a focus tree that's about regional stuff to do with like the Hashemites or forming Arabia or Kurdistan. Like, do you get what I'm saying? This kind of incompatibility between Iraq being guaranteed by the Allies, basically always being engaged in World War II, but having a focus tree that seems to be exclusively about regional stuff. Saudi Arabia, Kurdistan, taking the Levant, and yet doesn't give you the resources to actually capitalize on it. That, to me, is the failure of scope. To me. That is where I think Iraq has gone wrong. Definitely the most disappointing, I think, for me, because this could have really sprung something. But what they have done, I like. So there is always a silver lining. Iran. Iran is good on size. I'll give Iran that. Do we actually get to see the focus trees? I think that's Iran. Yeah, it is. This is the monarchist stuff for Iran. Very good scale. I say very good. It's decently good. We've probably seen bigger, but it's decently good. Can't go wrong with Iran. This I think needs some TLC, but I don't think it's a complete disaster. I think it's very manageable, playable, doable, but it needs help. Perhaps the most savable in terms of like doesn't need to be completely demolished. I think Iran is surviving. So I don't have too much to say about Iran. Maybe you have more to say about Iran. You can tell me. But overall, I don't despise it, personally. What I do despise is Afghanistan. I think this nation could culminate everything I dislike about HOI4, right? Some decisions to call Greek and Turkish states require you to own them. That was a concern. We talked about that during the achievements dev diary, because it talked about owning the states versus controlling them, and how it would shift the responsibility of just, okay, invade Greece into, okay, we're going to need to cap the allies. So painful. I mean, within there is like a greater discussion you could have about how, what even is HOI4? What is the game? Because this game, I feel like I'm actually starting this conversation. I'll try and keep it abridged because I don't want to bore anybody, okay? But it all comes back to scope again. What even is this game? Is HOI4, and people argue about this online, and they're very self-assured, but I believe the answer is not as straightforward as you think. Is HOI4 a historical grand strategy game based on World War II? That's option one, historical grand strategy. Or is it a sandbox simulation game set between 1936 and 1945? Right? I don't know the answer to that question. The community certainly doesn't know the answer to that question. And honestly, I'm unsure where the devs stand on that question. Okay? I couldn't tell you if this game is about trying to be able to play in a competitive World War II strategy game, or whether it's just kind of giving a focus tree and say, do stuff, like have fun. You say depending on how you play, but not sure how much autonomy you have over what you play. It depends on what the focus tree gives you, right? Some of the too far-fetched to be a proper sandbox. I mean, you say a proper sandbox. I'd say that's a pure sandbox. That's like completely whatever goes, goes, right? Which is what CK3 is, really. CK3 is completely not a traditional grand strategy anymore. It's something else entirely. Maybe it needs its own new term. This is kind of moving in that direction for me, and it has been, because the nonsensicality of even historical is not even historical anymore. And I think this entire DLC really hit home. Even people complaining about it with Trials of Allegiance because of Chile causing an early war with Japan and what you're able to achieve within the historical perspective. So where am I trying to go with this? I'm trying to talk about scope. And I'm trying to talk about, sometimes I question whether these focus tree packs know what they're trying to deliver, right? Are you trying to make an Iraq focus tree where you're trying to contribute to World War II, either joining the Allies or the Axis and then helping them win World War II and then your game's over? Or is this a game where when you pick your country, you're kind of playing it like EU4 and you're trying to make your nation become the greatest power of the world? Sometimes it tries to straddle two. Sometimes it gives you one and you just have to stick with that. Yeah, I can't say. I genuinely can't say. It flip-flops. Even if you're building a sandcastle in the sandbox, you need to create a solid foundation. Sure you do. Sure. But if they completely jump the shark, and they just say they've jumped the shark, then that is the foundation. Right? Like if you say this is a completely nonsensical alt history chaos game, then that is the foundation. But I'm not sure where they stand on that. How much do they value plausible historicality anymore? Like, is it completely gone out the window? I have no idea. I just don't know what the overall experience is, and I definitely don't feel it with Afghanistan. Afghanistan, to now talk about Afghanistan, to me is what I really don't like about this game. Okay, so it is wars that feel completely locked in, where there's nothing to progress at all. You're just stuck waiting. That's one. Two, awful terrain modifiers. Being just stuck in a entrenched mountain desert terrain, no air, no core, no help, is pure pain. And I get it. The DLC is called Graveyard of Empires. Okay, I'm aware of the name of the DLC. But if you're playing the graveyard, I don't feel like I should be the one dying in the graveyard. That's how I feel about Afghanistan. You're sandwiched between a major, the puppet of a major, and the only person you can possibly hope to defeat. Sorry, I'll just read some. It should be a mix. Mexico invading Latin America's Christian Democratic Crusaders is wild, yet it makes it awesome. I don't know if I'm the best person to speak on this, since the overwhelming majority of my games are unhistorical, mostly because I love the chaos. Right, so people love unhistorical, right? Sure, I love unhistorical. You're going to see me form Rome as Italy basically every time. I very much so enjoy it. The issue comes when the core game loop, if you want to call it that, the historical core game loop is, what's the war? What's the thing called with Eisenhower? Is it? No. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. They met at Casablanca. There's Churchill, there's the French, de Gaulle, and there's Roosevelt. And they said they had a policy of something, and it was basically, we accept no surrender except unconditional surrender. Was there a term for that they used? I don't know. But basically, this unconditional surrender clause, right? That basically means all wars in HOI4 are leading to World War II, and then everything after that just becomes World War II. Okay, that's what the game is framed through the lens of. And yet, this is a regional DLC about a regional conflict that doesn't give you the resources to enact regional conflicts, but launches you into World War II. Right? That to me is a conflict of scope. And that is what I'm most interested to see if they fixed. It's just called the unconditional surrender that they were after. Okay. I thought there was maybe a specific doctrine that they described it as to talk about. I don't know. I just think it's incompatible, counterintuitive, one of these words, to make focus trees that are regional but not give you the option to keep the conflict regional. And Iraq fails, Kingdom of Afghanistan fails, Iran struggles, but at least it can try and get this, maybe take some states here and then go after Turkey early. But yeah, really struggles to make that balance. And Afghanistan just doesn't hit it for me at all. I feel like every DLC after No Step Back made the game less and less enjoyable, and I don't play vanilla these days unless I play for achievements. Interesting. I really like Gotterdammerung. Gotterdammerung I very much so enjoy. There's not really much about Gotterdammerung I hate. I enjoyed basically every focus tree they added. I really like Hungary. I really like Germany. Belgium is pretty fun. Austria's good. It's just not for me. And the Congo is a puppet nation in Africa, so it's about as good as you can possibly hope it to be. So I really like Gotterdammerung, and I like the experimental projects. I don't really have anything negative to say about Gotterdammerung. But I think that's because it's framed well in the lens of World War II, where there is no conflict of interest between making a World War II simulation and a sandbox of ahistoricality, because the two are inherently entwined, which in the same way that they're not so much in Afghanistan. Afghanistan wasn't the pivotal player in the offset of World War II, where, you know, a regional DLC about Hungary is a regional DLC about World War II. A regional DLC about Afghanistan or Tibet is not a regional DLC about World War II. It's hard to make that balance. So what the TLDR, for those, if you think I'm just repeating myself, is when they come back to make some changes to Afghanistan and Iraq, and maybe a little for Iran, I hope there are a tremendous amount of peace out options for just getting some kind of core unifying state in this area, which allows you to catapult yourself into World War II, or make more focus on World War II. Pick a side. But being the jack of trades and is master of none, I don't think works out too well if it doesn't have the content to back it up. You made a Dutch East Indies mod. Very good. They need to make more DLCs in the level of Gotterdammerung. I mean, it really works for Japan and USA. That's true. Also, I think the Commonwealth, Britain and its puppets, New Zealand, Australia. Those are some focus trees right there. Okay, New Zealand, alternative New Zealand democratic path. That's a branch. Finally, you've got British Raj. Do we see some Raj in here? There you go. There's the Taj Mahal. Gives you 5 stability, I think. That is India right there. What do I think of India? I think it is boogie. I think it went through some drafts. It definitely went through some redrafts. But I speak to its virtue. I didn't get bored. I played India till 1945, and I felt like there was always something for me to do. I was always working towards something. So, I don't know. That's a complicated one. I don't know if I've settled on what I think about India yet. I think I'm leaning towards I like it. I like it, but God, it needs some touching up, especially where some of the issues I encountered came from. My goodness. You can form Kurdistan and core all of Iran. Yep. That is certainly an interesting thing you can do. The special projects make an even bigger gap between minors and majors. I suppose they do, but the buffs they grant to you are very fringe, that I don't necessarily hate them. And if the game is trying to put the lens of you turning a minor power into a major power, then giving you another metric to value you becoming a major power in the form of the facilities, I think is okay. What are the issues? Brother. where do you even begin on answering that question? What are the issues of British Raj? Right. Cause not applying where they should. Going princely states and capping the Raj basically does nothing, meaning that you lose all your states that you conquered and you have to go again. Some decisions just straight up don't work, like literally just don't work. The communist branch didn't work, that's right, because didn't it require you to be independent or something? So it just didn't hit at all. It's broken. Oh goodness me, wasn't there something to do with like generals not applying their portraits correctly? I'm trying to think of stuff that went live, but I'm thinking stuff that was in the pre-release build. I don't want to talk bad of something that was pre-release build. Let's just say it was a charming friend, India was. And it played like a charming friend, goodness knows it. So yeah, India, I like it, I like the size, I like what they've done, and I don't actually hate the scope. I know people hate the Silk Road because of its representation in China, coring Tibet, blah, 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 blah. I don't have a horse in that race, so I'm not massively bothered. I'm also interested if it's fun to play. That's my golden nugget. Is it fun to play? And despite everything, I actually enjoyed. I did 2 runs, I think, of India. Maybe I've done 3 now. I enjoyed my 3 runs as India. I did play East India Company just to see what it was like, and I felt it was the weakest, ironically. Has anybody played East India Trading Company in chat and tell me what they think of it? Because I think it's the one I disliked the most. I think the one I enjoyed the most was Azhar Hind, then Gandhi, then East India Trading Company. Yeah, maybe there's a market for this, but it just didn't appeal to me personally. Goodness me. The lackey. True. What that guy said. He speaks the truth and he speaks for the people. This focus tree. Oh, this scared me when I saw this down here. Why was it hidden? I actually missed it when I was playing. This guy gets it. Although I did like the fact you could form a faction. Sorry, I'm slowing down now because I've spoken too much. This is what all gets cut out of the videos, is when I don't say anything and I need to catch my breath. How do streamers talk for hours on end? How do people do 8-hour streams? I feel like I talk for an hour and I'm done. I've talked too much. Maybe I should just slow down and say less words. Okay, CK3. Do I go into CK3? Is there anything else we need to cover? No, oh god. Is anybody buying this? Is anybody buying this? Will these upcoming patches have major changes to the content for the Graveyard of Empire countries? Everyone has a different interpretation of what constitutes their powerful diaphragms. Maybe, or maybe they just get used to it for talking for so long. The latter patch in the cycle will contain changes of a larger nature than we would normally expect in a post-release cycle. intended to focus more on additions and changes to the existing content than bug fixes for the domain of the preceding patch. We're still working it out. Right, they're cooking. Gotta let them cook. Do you think Peru will get a focus tree? They have to one day, right? Surely. Surely. The question is, will they get a fun focus tree? That's another question entirely. Peru is my favorite nation in the game that doesn't have a focus tree, for those who are wondering. That's why this whole thing started. The Oscar thing started because Peru, I said, was the best nation in the game with no focus tree. But I said that years ago when basically a handful of countries had focus trees, and I said it was Peru. They start off fash. They start off with a navy, like the only people with a navy. They have lots of smaller people they can eat up. Yeah, they just have a lot of potential, a lot they can do. God, I really hope they. My concern is the thing about Peru is 1936. You can start justifying on Panama and Ecuador if you want. You can go straight in there. 1936. My biggest fear is they do a Peru focus tree and it's like minus 50% attack, minus 50% defense, Peruvian historical riots of the Llama Empire. I don't know. It's going to be something ridiculous. I mean, it's going to be like, right, you can't do anything. Rebuild my industry. Cannot declare war until you've taken this focus. And suddenly a nation that literally had 1936 expansion potential suddenly becomes nothing. Why Ecuador? Ecuador, it's just what they do. It's just what Peru does. They can't help themselves. Yeah, mixed bag, mixed thoughts on Peru getting a focus tree. Because I just don't think it will retain its entertainment of being the rapid expansionist Grand Colombian nation it has been if they make a focus tree. They can't form the Incan Empire, but they basically can get cores on everything that would be the Incan Empire. So, take what you can get, I suppose. Although the Incan Empire is in the game with Chile. So, strange. Oh, India's fixed. There you go. Hovlax, I'm curious, how many hours do you have on HOI4? Alright, I can literally go look now. One sec. I have, it's my last played game, 5,352 hours, 0.2. There you go. 5,000 odd. How does that rank up to you? Goodness me, that's a lot of my life I'm not getting back. 5,000. Jesus. Terrible. Snowing? Not for me. It's not snowing where I am. Maybe you're up north. North. Way up north. Urban Warfare refurb work, having some time. Right, so this guy made a thread talking about bugs. Very good. What a chaos. The Omani Empire for Oman. That's good. I like this. But how will this be represented? Because you have to go against Britain. Oh, having to go against Britain every time is such a nightmare. I'm kind of near London. Goodness. Snowing in the UK in March. Strange. It's not cold where I am. You're far off. You're at 3,300 hours. Those are some rookie numbers. You got to get those numbers up. 5,000 minimum. I wonder if your team or studio has a workplace rule that punish people for playing HOI4. What does this guy say? Because it looks like there is simply no one in the team spent time playing the game, like, ever. If you have this kind of rule, please delete it. As a modder, I understand the toll of making the game, but until you play a freshly started game, you never give the spectator what kind of shit you wrote in the codes. We have a lot of game fans on the team who play the game both and on their own time. This is so funny. And the fact that he responded to it too is really funny. That is... Dear Ahio, does anybody in your studio play your own game? Goodness. You are in Surrey. I've never been to Surrey. I have no idea. I don't know what's in Surrey. Surrey people, I suppose. In terms of game direction, could we please get an updated version of the roadmap? Maybe a vision of the roadmap. Last time the community was given an actual plan of where the game is going seemingly 3 years ago. That's good. I'd like to see what their thing is. I'd also like to see how they consider their own game. As we talked about earlier, there is many choices for Peru. Former Peru, Viceroyalty of Peru, Inca Empire, Andean Community, Second Pacific War. Yeah, there's lots they could do. I think, yeah, I'm laughing because it is funny. I mean, they must play the game at some point, right? When they're making it. But I would say it's not necessarily some kind of reservation to want to play the game versus like a different perspective of what the game should be. Like they stick in the focus tree and then they say this is this and they play it and they enjoy it. But maybe it doesn't work in like the bigger picture, you know? That's what I think sometimes gets passed by. They have like a hyper focused vision of what they think the focus tree should look like. They design it. They've got all these cool ideas. They put them into practice. But when you look at how the game plays on a whole and the interactions you have with other nations, sometimes I feel like that is not what is getting considered. As we were talking about earlier, when they add new focus trees, other focus trees get broken, right? That's like an issue, like with the Dutch. You add in the Germany Gotterdammerung stuff, and it's great. It is great. But does it take into account all of the dominoes that they've added along the way? Because every time you add a new DLC, it has to account for every other DLC that's come before it. And that's just such an arduous task. And it requires like a lot of playing, you know? Like, and remembering every single thing that's gone before. And not every dev made every part of the game, too. Right? They literally say that different devs make different focus trees. And now there's 2 separate teams making DLCs too. I wonder how that interacts. I have no idea, I'm just hypothesizing. I'm just thinking about from what they themselves have said. If one dev kind of relatively does one focus tree with a vision, and then a different dev has a different vision of how that focus tree should run, do all of these visions come together in what is effectively one product? You know what I mean? Or do they stamp on each other's toes? France has been impacted a little in the new DLC because of the way the new puppets work. Free France just gets them for free. Yeah, exactly. Right, Free France, that's the bug, isn't it? Vichy France used to get them, but now because they're puppets of France, they become the puppets of Free France, which has effectively changed the way World War II works in the Middle East. Because previously, the Middle East was relatively unaffected. You didn't need to fight through that region because Vichy France stays neutral, and it was basically just Egypt versus Libya. But now it's not like that. And I have literally played a game where I joined the Allies as Iraq and Germany naval invaded Lebanon. I couldn't believe it. I was in a state of disbelief at what I was witnessing. And it didn't go to Italy, it went to Germany. Germany invaded Lebanon, and Germany started fighting a land war in the Middle East against me. And I lost it. And I was like, I can't do this anymore, man. I can't do this. What is happening? It's, oh. They literally sent panzer divisions to come fight me. I was like, what are you even doing here? And they were Barbarossa had started. They were prioritizing coming after me instead of using the panzers in Barbarossa. Oh my goodness. Classic. They're sentient. Maybe they've just got some planning to specifically target you or something. They lost that war in Barbarossa, by the way, because they sent their tanks to me. They stagnated and didn't build supply and lost. And in terms of like locations, I don't see an issue with announcing which countries are going to be the next expansion now instead of like 2 months before release. It feels from Arms Against Tyranny, the releases have been shockingly bad flaws for every country narrative and missing key things in a variety of countries. I don't think we'll ever be able to do that quite this early, but I am hoping to begin the dev diary cycle quite a lot earlier than we did for Gotterdam Wrong or Graveyard of Empires in future. Yeah. Liberia Focus Tree. Terrible. I don't know. If I was, I mean, I'm not a dev. I can't tell them what to do. But if I was gonna focus on something, if you were gonna make me the dev, like head dev of this game, right, game director, he said, what's the feature you most want to focus on? The feature I most want to focus on is moving supply, right? I just feel like the German AI really struggles to understand supply. In fact, the whole game struggles. So it'd be about AI recognizing where their allies are, adding in commands to talk to your allies about, okay, I want you to focus on this front. Like, you know, the frontline thing when you select an army and you do frontline? Something like that, but you can draw allied front lines. And you can like click on Germany, frontline, and then tell them, can you please prioritize this line so you're not overlapping my supply, so we're not screwing each other over? Because something like that would be useful. Maybe it's like a faction leader thing, right? The faction leader can tell their allies, like, okay, Italy, I'm drawing your front line up to here. Please stay here and focus on that and don't ignore me. And they have their own, like Italy will have its own front line, but it kind of sees like the faction leader has told you you need to go over here and focus on this. And at least that way, there's some cohesion across the board of what everybody's doing. And then after that, I'd add in mobile supply with a focus on the AI wanting to build specific supply hubs and flows going forwards. Sounds like you're inventing Supreme Commander Allied Expeditionary Force. I just want it to be that when you naval invade somewhere, I don't need every single one of my faction members to all barrel in and completely kill my supply. You know what I mean? And equally, when we're doing Barbarossa, when we don't have a supply hub, everybody needs to get out. When we do have a supply hub, everybody needs to pile in. And somebody needs to tell somebody what's going on, you know? Maybe it's like with agencies and operatives, you can become spy leader or operative leader and then you control the spies. Maybe you can ask to become supreme commander of the forces, of the factional forces, and then you can at least like assign your faction members to do things a little bit more competently. You'd need some backend though to like make sure you couldn't exploit it, you know, like tell the Germans to all go hide in Gotland or something and then get them all killed so you can betray them later. So maybe there has to be like some autonomy there, but just like a general directional shift to say, listen, this is what everybody needs to focus on. Nobody needs to overlap anybody. And then I think the competency generally would go up. But hey, that's just what I would focus on. That and mobile supply. Like what they did with the railways. If you remember the trains with the guns on and you like move them around and they have an AoE of 10% damage or whatever it is, bombardment damage. I would do exactly that, but it's a supply train. So you'd build the supply train. It has like a circle of AoE and then it gives supply out and it like follows the troops. And then you could like cap it. So you can only build 3, kind of like you can only have finite special forces. You can only have finite supply trains because there's a finite amount of supply that you can deliver through rail. And then you can use that to follow your troops into Russia as the supply gets weaker. So you have to focus your attacks on specific locations. Okay, now I'm just rambling about like what I would do with the game. Sorry. But that's what I wanted from this stream. This is why I said if I made videos, I wouldn't be talking about this nonsense because nobody cares. But at least when I go live on a stream, I can just get all my sort of thoughts and frustration. Yep, that's it. That was the video I was going to make next, by the way, in case anybody was wondering. Like, what was my next HOI4 video? That right there. And I even was going to sit down to record it. And then I checked the requirements when I started the game in Iron Man. Must start as the country that begins with K. I forgot what it's called. Khalistan? Khalistan? Something like that? Goodness. Khalistan, yeah. But there we go. So that's why I'm not making HOI4 videos. There's literally like, it's like shooting yourself in the foot. And anybody who does make videos around this, the content is going to change anyway. You know, like if I make a video guide for, let's say, Iraq, by April it might be out of date. It's completely useless because they might have completely upended and changed how all the focus trees work. So now I'm just like, well, what do? I guess I'll go live on YouTube and just rant to myself because we're waiting for the patch, which is apparently in 20 minutes. Very good. Very, very good. I'm very excited to see CK3. Is that today? Is CK3 today? Am I getting my CK3 today? Does somebody know? Is Chapter 4 getting revealed today? Must be, surely. California, true. California. This guy gets it. I guess now that I'm here, I should just wait 20 minutes and then we'll just quickly go over the HOI4 patch log and then see what's going on with HOI4 first patch and give like an initial reaction to it. And then I guess I could wrap up the stream. I thought I'd talk more about CK3. I guess I can talk about CK3. Although I'm not sure how many people actually care about CK3 here. There's a new CK3 patch that's coming out, but I can still read chat while I'm here. The first game I played with the DLC was the broken HOI4 communist path, but I didn't realize it was broken, so I worked free and then lost half my country in a civil war. Good game. Memorable game. Love to see it. Last year, we teased a chord position rework. Okay, so they're reworking chord positions, and they're automating it. Very good. Cool. And then you get to see what hasn't been broken. Do you think Brother, I'm going to keep it real. I am struggling to understand what you're saying. But maybe we need some music. That's what we need. I need some Blue Danube until I can read the patch notes in 20 minutes. I'm too fast. Brother. Oh my goodness, did you see that great Iranian Empire? Is anyone buying this? Not the DLC, I mean this Iranian Empire. It's so funny because they clearly created the tag and then just typed in the console, release per, because you would have taken Egypt, right? These are just the core states that they released. So this is January 1936 or whatever. Oh, well, I guess they did do the front lines. So it's not January 1936, but it's unrealistic, right? It's funny, I'm bringing it up because they were talking about how the devs didn't play their own focus tree. And the implication here is they didn't do a run of Greater Iranian Empire to actually form the Iranian Empire, because if they did, they wouldn't have had these very peculiar looking borders here. And they naval invaded Cyprus. Sure you did. Surely. You naval invaded Cyprus, but you haven't made headway into India. Be real. Be real. They played it. Surely. And they didn't take out Saudi Arabia. Yet Saudi Arabia is basically free. Up, 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 up. What else have you got in here? Bum, 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 bum. This is pain. But it's fun if you're going fash. Bum, bum, ba, 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 da, ba, 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 ba. You know what I should do? I should add in some text. Have you played any other real-time strategy games like Age of Empires, Supreme Commander, Empire Earth, or StarCraft? I have played Age of Empires 2, and I played a little bit of Age of Empires 4, but I am not very good at it at all. So forgive me on that front. Can I do this? One sec. Waiting for patch notes. There you go. Whenever you ask what we're doing here, that's what we're doing. Done. Bum, 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 bum. Supreme Commander. Actually, I did play Supreme Commander. I don't know why I missed that. I did play Supreme Commander. Yes. I played that when I was a kid. A long time ago. Also, I'm not good at it, but I really think the artillery in that game is very fun. Do you think if they included the Silk Road Empire, it'd still get a negative reaction by the community? Yes, I think anything they would have done regarding the Silk Road Empire would have been a disaster. The Chinese backlash is certainly something. Which is funny because CK3 wants to do a China Dev Diary DLC. It was great. Updating court positions, new information. Oh, now you can request a court position. That's very interesting. You can ask to become the Royal Architect. Huh. Or ask to become this. Oh, these are like some of the things you can do. Stress game. Jesus. But all of our things go better. 15 minutes? Yeah, 15 minutes. We're waiting. We'll wait. I'll wait. I started streaming. I might as well see what the patch notes are. There might be something cool in there. You never know. Every year, your Master of the Hunt has a chance of deciding a regular game. Cool. And the frequency increases with aptitude, with a max every 3 years. Promote friendship. Children opinion. Liege may gain prowess every month. What? What? What is the percentage chance on that? Sorry, if nobody plays CK3, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but... What? Jesus. If that's like a 20%, that's just busted. That's just broken. It's nonsense. Every year, your court power will write a poem and give you a modifier, improving your legitimacy policy. Okay, that's wholesome. Every year, the court jester has a chance to reduce the stress of a random courtier. Nice. Fuel the rumor mill. Scheme stuff. Abuse the jester. Gains dread. Development growth in realm capital. Well, that's just too strong, but it costs money, but money is nothing in this game, so that's just strong. Interesting, but I don't play Intrigue. If that gave you Stewardship, that would be good. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. You can now automate armies. Interesting. Kind of removing a reason to play the game in the first place, especially as a lot of people play HOI4. All they do is move around units. In CK3, you have removed using units entirely, and everything is done by the AI, so it's effectively like playing the game with, what's it called? Overview? Overseer? What's it called when you watch the game, but you're not playing it in Paradox games? I actually forgot the word. What is it? It's not overview. It's observer. Thank you. Observer mode. Yes. It's like playing the game in observer mode. Yes. That's what it's like. Terrible. Oh look, they're adding in the thing I'm talking about where you can see what your allies are actually up to so you can organize. Which is what HOI4 could do with. Shh. That is like as low as it can get. It's like still too loud. Crazy. Let's get the dev diary ready. It's not dev diary, it's just patch notes. So you can see what they're up to. They're kind of automated with a cog. This guy's defending, this guy's sieging, so he's defending this guy from the siege. Warfare updates. Yep, we saw that. The Crusades. So Crusades are actually going to work in this game now. That's good. This is like an updated UI menu with like subtext describing the kind of thing you're trying to do with color. That's the thing that stands out to me the most. You can favorite certain interactions that you like and then stick them at the top, so the things you use the most. This guy likes to murder a lot. Quick options to talk to this guy immediately. Right click to raise an army. It's kind of just basic small stuff, nothing too cray-cray, but useful. Court position. A new court position has been added for independent rulers of admin. Okay, a new court guy, which allows Byzantium, if you hold Byzantium, to get some special buffs. Huh. And insane dev. It's always dev growth. Very good. A new building. That's weird. It said my OBS disconnected then. Did my OBS disconnect? Tax jurisdictions. Kanschla's tax jurisdiction. God, I don't play Muslims at all. I feel I have to be connected to a region for me to enjoy it. Connection's still good, that's good. I feel I have to be connected to a region to enjoy it, so I just don't play in this region. But cool if you play Islam, I suppose. But I don't. Tiered commander traits. Oh. For those who don't know, right, CK3 has an issue with power creep, right? Power creep is like the big thorn in the side of this game. So anytime they add stuff that like gets even stronger, all I'm thinking is the game is just getting easier and easier and nothing matters and blah 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 blah. And that's what I feel about this. But I guess it depends on how easy it is to level up this trait, but my goodness. It's a little concerning. They fixed the barbershop, that's good. That was something that I was asking for in my wishlist video for CK3. So I guess I'm right on one thing. Promote culture tweaks. Late game culture maps are quite often boring, with the culture map gradually becoming more and more populated by small divergences. This is fine in the case where they lead to interest in new cultures expanding their presence, but it is often not so. We treat them to be more inclined to promote their culture. Central Germanic heritage, which will promote culture in Sorbian countercultures. To grow. Imperious cultures want to grow a decent size. Okay, so they're trying to make it so it isn't completely border gore in terms of culture. That's good. Some new game rules to do with realm stability, which you can basically make the game super easy. Conquerors can be nerfed. You can change out message settings with a new message log in case you missed a message. You can be told when a child becomes of age. Well, that's not strange. Search for people can be education and major decisions. You can now form the Empire of Beth Narain. So this is Iraq content. The Tigris and the Euphrates. Wow. There's more content in here than the Iraq focus tree. I'm joking. I jest. I'm being silly. So you get a nickname. If you're a Nestorian faith, you get some modifier, which allows you to culture convert your country. Tons of renown. I mean, just power creep. That's all CK3 is. And Hindostan. Wait, is this supposed to be dunking on Graveyard of Empires? Why is it Iraq and India? What's this all about? You get an Empire of Hindustan, primary culture, admin government, lawgiver, sub-mechanic, and this is free. This is for free. This you don't pay anything for this. Oh no. Oh no. Hey, never be ungrateful for new stuff, okay? Lots of legitimacy. Goodness, this game needs somebody to go in there and absolutely tear up the balancing so much. I cannot deal with it. You can now see if the enemy war leader is in an army, as they'll be marked with a crown banner stating commanded by ruler. Huh? Oh, there. HOI4 got an India update, Vic3 got an India update, India's now getting CK3 update. This is the Indian age. Balancing. If everyone is OP, no one is OP. This fucking game. What a disaster. I wish, this is all I wish for this game, is for a dev to just come out and say, we recognize that the power creep in this game is beyond crazy. And we will nerf everything. That's all I want. Everything louder than everything else. I hope you don't mean the music, but considering there's 5 minutes left, the music can end. Oh. Goodness. It looks like a good update considering it's free. Why balance when you can release more DLC? So true. Like up here, right? This stuff. They're adding in stuff you can do with your court positions, right? But is this not just more power creep? Like, just now you have 2 additional options per court position of available options of stuff you can take advantage of, right? For everything. So it's like a times 3 bonuses for nothing. Oh. Everything louder than everything else. Fair enough. Fair. I don't know, fam. I don't know. I really like this game. But my biggest request really is Can we please just stab it in the heart and then come back and think about where the balance is really going to be? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Wait, there's a live CK3 thing? Nani? Doko desu ka? Oh, here. Oh my god. This changes everything. This changes all the things. How do you balance 600 years of content? That's a good point. It's much harder to balance the game, but my counterpoint is I think EU4, even though it is unbalanced, has better balancing on average. I guess the issue with CK3, well, it's not the issue. It's like an impossible problem where there's too many factors all contributing, is that there's a lot of multiplicatives at play and a lot of things without, how do I say this? There's very finite constants, but a tremendous amount of variables, okay? And the constants are basically just mana. It's prestige, piety, renown. Now there's influence. But because everything is kind of told through the lens of those few mechanics, suddenly all these DLCs just contribute to bloating up ways to get those forms of mana. And that's a real kind of bottleneck, I feel. So what they end up doing is kind of adding in these, I don't know, I guess quasi-mana or inefficient ways of trying to add new mechanics, which are effectively just other forms of mana, when maybe what the game needs is not new forms of mana, but new things to achieve, to go for. Like, I don't know, I don't think the game should be about trying to gain prestige. So that's going to be nations to form. The one thing they constantly sleep on is artifacts to collect. There should be legendary historical artifacts for you to go hunt down in the world. But they don't do that. I don't know why. Unique interactions to unlock. I don't know, just stuff that isn't a number. Yeah. That's why I didn't hate the concept necessarily of a Menagerie DLC. Because with a Menagerie DLC, you could go around the world finding animals. But even then, I guess the animals would be told through the lens of every animal you give gets you 5 prestige or something ridiculous. They're not live. I was lied to. Oh, there we go. Cool. Is that too loud? Where's my HOI4? God, that feels way too loud to me. Is it just me? Is this like, am I going cray-cray? Any HOI4 Patchnote enjoyers? The devs must fix Iran. No, event chain doesn't mean auto. It was really loud, wasn't it? It was super loud. I was getting deafened by it. Okay, if there's no patch notes, I'm going to watch this then leave, because this stream is going on way too long. And I know that one guy is going to be in my comment section again. So, this video is 1.5 hours long. How can anybody watch this? It's a VOD, my friend. It's a VOD. Alright. Full screen.
Hello everyone.
Oh no, it's so
I'm
quiet.
Jacob, Community Manager with Paradox Studio Black. Whether you're a veteran player or just discovering us for the first time, we are thrilled to have you here for a first look at what the future holds for our game with Chapter 4. In today's video, you'll see the story trailer for the first piece of content coming in Chapter 4. Then we'll talk with one of the developers who are helping to bring that vision to life. After that, we'll explore more of what Chapter 4 has to offer with our major expansion, as well as some of the other large updates that players can expect to come this year.
I've never seen this guy before.
Be sure to stay until the end for a note on how you can get your questions answered in an upcoming Q&A session. This chapter is our most ambitious yet, improving your experience in the medieval era with deeper systems, brand new mechanics, and fresh content that capture the excitement and intrigue of medieval life. Now, without further ado, here's the story trailer for our upcoming core expansion, Cons of the Steppe.
Cons of the Steppe.
The grass beneath our feet has turned brown and withered. The rivers, parched and lifeless, faded to dust. And so, we ride westward to lands green with promise. No ink upon parchment can tame the storm that rides with us. No wall of stone nor iron gate can withstand the might of my horde. Under my banner, the whole world will crumble, and from its ashes, a new one will rise.
Cons of the Steppe releases on April 28th, so be sure to mark your calendars for it. Now, I'd like to introduce Veronica, one of the talented game designers working at the studio, to tell us more about some of the features being crafted for this core expansion.
Hello, my name is Veronica Pathos. I'm a game designer on the upcoming DLC Cons of the Steppe, and today we're going to be talking about the main features coming with this update. At the core of Cons of the Steppe lies the nomadic government type. This new government type is heavily inspired by the nomadic rulers of the Great Steppe and places a heavy emphasis on might, herd, and land. Nomads don't stay in one place as sedentary rulers do, but they travel across the map together with their herd. They extract fertility of the land within the Great Steppe and grow their forces. However, fertility is finite, and if they want to continue growing, they will have to migrate. Migration can be done via peaceful means by convincing an amenable shepherd to lend their lands to you, or via warfare by taking the lands forcefully for another nomadic ruler. Your horse and cattle are represented by a new currency called herd, only available to nomads. This currency plays a very important role to their lives, as they represent how they're viewed by other rulers and can be used in multiple ways like bribing, scheming, and even use as dowry.
It does look like the same eagle, doesn't it?
Their herd, nomadic rulers will constantly migrate if they're small. However, there are other options for bigger rulers like kings and emperors. This will obtain most of their herd through tributaries, establishing their rule all over the realm. Well, the bigger changes to nomadic rulers is that they do not use levies, but instead use herd that can be transformed into horde riders, a new type of very basic manga terms. In the steppe, might makes right. Nomadic rulers have access to dominance, a fixed scale that increases with their power. Low dominance represents smaller chieftains, whereas those that reach the highest dominance will be able to become Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan.
Life in the steppe is not easy, and pasturing is at the mercy of the elements. Seasons change in each region, affecting the fertility and other parameters of each. For example, a white suit will cover the land with a layer of snow, making it almost impossible to graze. However, a more moderate and warm weather offers the perfect climate for pasturing, making nomads able to grow their herd even more. Thanks for being with us, and we really hope that you enjoy the next DLC.
Our team has been working incredibly hard to ensure that this DLC captures the experience of the lifestyle of nomadic peoples in the Great Steppe, and your feedback has been a big part of that. You might remember our preview dev diary from a few weeks ago. We asked for your thoughts, and we've already made changes to the content based on your feedback.
Who is this guy?
Particularly by making tributaries available to more governments than just the nomadic one, as well as making changes to the nomadic economy itself. There are even more refinements we haven't shown yet, and we'll be going over them in developer diaries releasing every Tuesday from now until the release of Cons of the Steppe on April 28th. Now, we've still got plenty left to cover coming up in Chapter 4, so let's move on to the next piece of content, an event pack we're calling Coronations.
A lot of people were asking for coronations. I don't know what to say about that step
A
thing.
coronation was more than just a ceremony. It was a turning point for any aspiring ruler. Being crowned isn't simply about wearing a fancy hat. It represents the moment when earthly authority and divine authority converge, granting legitimacy and a true right to rule to any monarch. With this event pack, we've introduced a new activity type to let you experience this event firsthand.
Gain events,
while the content of the
gain
Coronations
legitimacy.
event pack is still under early development. Our intent is for these events to test your diplomatic skill, your relationship with the church, and maybe even your coffers. The goal with the Coronations event pack is simple, to make it feel like you've truly earned your crown. Every decision in your coronation influences how your vassals, allies, and everyone else will perceive your rule going
China
forward.
update.
Plan it wisely, because the outcome of this ceremony can echo throughout the entirety of your reign and beyond. So far, we've covered the new nomadic government and cons of the step, and explored the ceremony of coronations. But our journey through Chapter 4 isn't over yet. Let's hand things over to our game director, Alexander Oltner, as well as one of our programmers, Don, to talk about what's coming up in the major expansion for Chapter 4.
Oh!
Now, for the major expansion of the chapter, as you might have figured out, we will be going east.
This is
and complete the map of Crusader Kings 3 by adding Asia. All of it.
There's Japan. You can play the samurai. It's happening. It's a disaster.
All under
My
heaven,
computer's exploding.
As the expansion is named.
My CPU just died. I saw it.
Asia. From the celestial government of the Chinese Empire to the wildly different governing forms in Japan and Korea, and the god kings of the archipelago in Indonesia.
They're doing Indonesia too.
Of course, Asia will be full of unique faiths and cultures and buildings and everything else, making playing there a vastly different experience from playing in Europe or anywhere else on the map. Our philosophy when making expansions like these is that they should follow a logical pattern, and roads to power led up to this moment, with the celestial government being inspired by the administration that we introduced previously. Tours and tournaments introduced travel, which enabled us to have landless rulers in administrative realms, which allows us, in turn, to have the Chinese Empire represented in a truly unique way. I will now briefly hand over the word to Dan Brockhoff, a developer on the team responsible for a large area of All Under
You can tell he picked that shirt on purpose.
Hello, my name is Dan. I'm a developer on Crusader Kings. So, China is special in our era. It is prominent, it is large, it's powerful. So we decided that we should introduce a new tier of title, the hegemony.
Oh, is this higher than Empire?
Represents the way that China influences everyone around them and is a leading point in this part of the world.
If that's true.
Another cool feature that we have in China is what we call the dynastic cycle. This represents how the mandate of heaven is lost and gained. This cycle represents chaotic eras, stable eras. This process, you will at one point have enough around you, and you will claim the mandate of heaven, and the people will know that you are the right dynasty to continue the glory of the Chinese Empire. We call the type of government for China the celestial government, which is like an administrative government but has some additional features, one of which is the treasury. The imperial treasury is money that flows upwards towards the emperor and that he can spend wisely or unwisely. The Empire of China, of course, will face some challenges, and you will make sure that China survives in an intact and prosperous state, behind your great walls and with great armies and great generals. All Under Heaven is our biggest expansion yet, and I hope you'll like what we're doing.
I mean, they kind of were working on this for so long. I refuse to believe
this
it'll be
glimpse
seen
into
that
the
badly.
scope and depth of All Under Heaven. Getting this expansion right is incredibly important to us at Studio Black. We don't want to present a strictly Eurocentric or outsider's perspective on the history of the cultures we're depicting in All Under Heaven. which is why we've been collaborating with historians as well as prominent members of our existing Chinese community from the very earliest stages of All Under Heaven's
do you think they're
development.
saying this because of
This
backlash?
approach helps us ensure that the content is not only fun to play,
Do you know what I mean?
but historically accurate and respectful to the cultures and societies that are covered in the new areas.
Like Graveyard
of
of
the game.
Empires, and now they're saying
While we
this.
don't have a specific release date for All Under Heaven yet, developer diaries are expected to begin shortly after the release of Cons of the Steppe, with the first dev diary tentatively scheduled for early in May.
Cray.
While Chapter 4 brings a lot of new exciting content to the game, we also believe it's important to refine and reiterate upon the mechanics that already exist in the game. That's why
nice
we're rolling
of
out
them.
a substantial
True.
update to Crusader Kings 3, the 1.15 Crown update. The Crown update revamps the court position
Yeah,
system,
we were looking at this.
making the interface sleeker and more intuitive. It also introduces a new way to handle vacated court positions, either prompting you to seek a new candidate or automatically selecting a new candidate based on your choices for that specific court position. We've also added an option to automate your own armies, allowing the AI to take control of your armies while you focus on other aspects of realm management. We're also including a way to tell what an AI-controlled army is actively doing, making it far easier to determine what your ally strategy is at any given moment. Most notably, we've tweaked our Crusade AI to ensure they properly muster their forces before launching an assault, resulting in them invading as a coherent force. On top of that, we've implemented more than 100 bug fixes, as well as numerous minor improvements and tweaks across the board. The 1.15 Crown update is available for free to all owners of Crusader Kings 3 on PC, Mac, and Linux, and is available right now.
Right now.
So download it and tell us what you think.
Out. Guys, I'm out of here.
Finally, we have a
I'm
little
gonna
extra
go
for
play.
those of you eager to dive into what Chapter 4 has to offer right now. Our instant unlock, Crowns of the World. You buy the
Nice
Chapter
hat.
4 bundle, you will immediately gain access to a wide variety of
Nice
crowns
hat.
and turbans inspired by cultures across the map.
Nice hat.
Whether your domain stretches across mainland Europe, the
Nice
Middle
hat.
East, or North Africa, you are sure to find a piece of headwear that fits your style, and you will gain access to it as soon as you buy the Chapter 4 bundle.
I felt like they were very specifically trying to.
Thank you so
not
much
be
for taking the
offensive
time to
with
join
that
us
line
today.
Earlier.
We've given you just a brief glimpse at Con of the Steppes, All Under Heaven, as well as Coronations. The free 1.15 Crown update and the Chapter 4 bundle itself are both available right now. So if you're eager to get started with Chapter 4, be sure to check them out on Steam and the Microsoft Store. And remember, you will immediately receive access to Crowns of the
Let's
World,
look at that again.
as well as all of the other content coming in Chapter 4 as soon as it's available. Thank you again for watching, and we hope you're as excited as we are for what's on the horizon in Crusader Kings 3. We know you probably have a ton of feedback after everything we've shown today, and we'll be collecting your questions over the next week across all of our social media platforms, which you can find linked in the description of the video below. On the 26th, we'll release a special Q&A video where we answer as many of your questions as we can, so be sure to let us know what's on your
I have
mind.
one question.
We truly believe that
Do you
building and
think the
maintaining
game
strong
has
communication
good
with our player base is essential to
structural
making
balance
Crusader Kings 3 the
beyond
best possible
100
game
years
it
of
can
gameplay?
be? Your feedback is a big part of making this happen.
That's it. That's
so
my main
please,
question.
Keep it coming.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Done. Cool. What was that timeline again? So the update and Crowns of the World is out now if you pre-order. April 28th, which is cray soon, a month and a half away till I get to go throat singing. Q3, so that's what? Summer, late summer, August, sort of Augusty, you get coronations. And then November is China, so end of the year. All right. Huh. Let's hope the Khans can really make the game, I don't know, fresh enough to last you till China. That's, how do I feel? Okay, is it bold for me to say I was hoping for like one more thing beyond just this? You know? Like, I get it, this is huge, and it is huge. And this is huge, both like major map expansions, but I just feel there needs to be some TLC in there. All right. Final thing. Final thing. And you get Japan too, yeah. But no note of any content relating to Japan. You know what I mean? Like Japan, but no Japan. Strange. What is the hap with the latest update? Where are we at? As mentioned not too long ago, here is our patch notes for Operation Het, which is live now, ? Sorry to be a spoiler. I assume it's live now. Increase the artillery requirement for elephantry. Okay, so elephantry I've heard was cray strong. No India communism path I could see. No shot they didn't fix that. I heard this was stronger than artillery. Like base artillery by like such a ridiculous margin. It made it way too OP. So that's interesting. India train robberies now reduced railway hub infrastructure by 2% was free for each railway focus completed. So they nerfed train robberies. And they reduced weekly stability by 1 was free, but they buffed them slightly. The Immortal Legion now has a much larger starting template. But I wonder if you can still do the Immortal Legion exploit where you rename a heavy tank division to the Immortal Legion and you get 3 units of Immortal Legion heavy tanks. India. The national spirit, anti-imperial zeal now gives 8% defense bonus against the USA, up from 0.8. I mean, so basically gone from being useless to being slightly less useless. India. The focus Royal Indian Navy mutiny no longer requires independence. Okay. Gameplay. Added an event chain for Syria and Lebanon that allows them to decide with Vichy/Free France or declare independence when Paris falls. Okay, so they've added in the Burgundian inheritance for Syria and Lebanon, where they have to decide whether they stay with France, the HRE, or release the lowlands and go alone. Added additional animation variants for elephantry. Okay, elephants are going to do Gangnam Style or something. Generic elephantry now uses the generic infantry model. Sure. Iraq get more models. Better tooltips for India so it's not so confusing. The famine now only requires you to lose a starting Indian state, excluding Aden, with 30 days to retake it. So they got rid of the Burma requirement. Previously there was a requirement that if Burma loses any state, you get the famine. So now it's India focused. India improved famine description. A bit vague, but sure. India. The focus threaten the princes now gives 10% communist support. I guess because communism has been a bit of a low. Something to do with modding, but nobody here does modding. Actually, that one guy said he did modding. He said he did Indonesia modding. I remember every comment. I remember. It was Dutch East Indies, wasn't it? The Syria and Lebanon events are good to exist, but the way they're worded, I'm not convinced they've taken into account the Free France gameplay. It could be the case. I just hope it means that Germany isn't going to send panzers to attack me when I'm playing as a casual democratic Iraq. That's my biggest hope. It's surprisingly short, isn't it? But maybe we should just accept this is the first one and the second one might be a bit bigger. Okay. If you see anything interesting, call it out. Mughal influence state modifier will now be removed, right? Mughal uprising now changes their political parties. Okay, so they become Mughal. The British Raj no longer loses certain spirits after separating from the East India Company. Right? Did they get insane manpower or something? Pak Singh's trait Brave is no longer missing. Oh yes, I saw that on Reddit. There was a commander trait that just was not working very well. The Conquer Afghanistan focus no longer attempts to give a special forces doctrine discount when you do not have, just mod stuff, DLC stuff. The Frontier Corps focus no longer gives a special forces doctrine award if you are missing it. Another failure of DLC stuff. The Nothing Personal focus will bypass if unavailable. That is the East India focus to do with... Is it the one where you attack India? And it doesn't mean anything if you already own India? Forward block now removes the occupation law no garrison until independence is achieved through the focus give me blood and I will grant you freedom. Wait a sec. So you're telling me that in my video, when I set the occupation law to no garrison, because I thought that was the intended way to play it, they're telling me that's not the intended way to play it? As in, it's supposed to be even slower than how it was when I did it? Because it took me, what, 3 or 4 months? Oh. Right. That's like an unfortunate update. Okay. The game rule to make India go down historical no longer blocks achievements. Independent unrest events no longer continue to appear. This happened to me in my video too. This is another bug, in case you're wondering about Indian bugs. I had this in my video. India, East India Railways will no longer bypass automatically when GOE is missing. Sure. A Hadi division template given by I've never seen it. Famine should no longer trigger if a country spawns in the affected area. Okay, basic fix. Sorry, I'm just trying to save my breath by not reading everything, but maybe that's not good stream content. Aden no longer gets returned to the Raj after the Mughal uprising if it was previously handed over to the United Kingdom. Makes sense, but I haven't really played the Mughals. I did a very quick run, but I wasn't really paying attention. Fixed a bug where a blank EIC focus was appearing in the focus tree upon formation. I saw this on Reddit. I never saw this myself. But I did see this on Reddit. Quite funny. Numerous national focuses have been updated with filter tags, basic stuff. The focus Royal Indian Navy mutiny no longer requires independence. There you go. That's the one, right? That's the focus that was effectively breaking down the entirety of the communist path. India fixed a broken bypass condition for the focus pledge for the Allies. Useful. Iraqi Nuri al-Said no longer has a placeholder portrait. That was again on Reddit. This feels like all of Reddit's biggest hits in terms of stuff that was complained about very publicly on Reddit. The event from proposed hearing notification no longer gives you the wrong war goal. Lol. Restoration of Hejaz focus now grants calls on the targeted states instead of claims. That's probably useful. Wait, but that means they didn't fix the thing with Lebanon, where you don't annex the puppets, right? That's not in here. Iran and Soviet Union fixed a bug in which Soviets could not puppet Iran if they choose to unify without the focus. Okay. Damn, I really don't like how Iran is always completely wedged against the Allies and the Comintern, even on ahistorical. Iran, joint Allies focus can now be appropriately bypassed. Simple. Iran changed the Memphis Initiative to include any state in the Middle East. Oh, I don't remember the Memphis Initiative. Is that the one where you get to core everything down the monarchist Persian path? So effectively you can core any state in the Middle East as Persia. Fixed a bug where Iran started with Treaty of Sadabat in 1939, where it should not have. Fixed a bug where opposition to the Shah decisions. Yeah, it is. The UK guaranteeing Iraq at game start is brutal. I think Iran needs to be able to find a way to remove the guarantee for Iraq, or they should remove it. I don't care if it's ahistorical. They should stick something else there instead. If maybe an event, like a national spirit tied to an event, if Iraq is declared war on by a country that is not in a faction, said country gets an event where they can either forfeit the oil in Iraq upon conquest to Britain. So once you annex Iraq, you have to basically continue the oil delivery to Britain, or they will declare war on you or join Iraq in their war. You know what I mean? That would be how you could do it, maybe. So effectively, Britain still gets its oil, but you get the Iraq. That's how I would do it. Allowed organized protests or established local opposition groups to be bypassed. Okay. And now gated behind the communist folk. Oh, that's a shame. Where the Islamic Revolution leader would not become country leader if civil war started and strengthen Iranian parliament focus. Is this to get the secret leader? I think. Faced issue with two national spirits disappearing. Boring. The graveyard of empire's focus now works correctly. Amazing. I didn't know it didn't work correctly, to be honest. The United Kingdom puppets breaking away from the UK when it goes fash should now function correctly. Is this because when you went decolonization, the Middle East didn't decolonize properly? Arabia cannot be formed by Kurdistan. Arabia now gains calls on the states it needs to. And then some technical bug fixes. Add an updated roadmap. There's empires, there's head, there's knee, Operation Shoulder, and then Operation Toe. Head. They've messed this up. It's in the wrong order. Shouldn't it be head, shoulders, knees and toes? But they've gone head, knees and shoulders, toes. You know what I mean? They've got the order wrong. Or is this not supposed to be head, shoulders, knees and toes? Am I mistaken? Strange. Alright, that's it. That's the end of the stream. Wow, that was so much talking. I'm terrible at this. This is why I need to do videos and just edit them down. Makes my life. It must be supposed to be that, right? I'm not cray-cray. Does that mean they've got this the wrong way around? Because that would be... Wouldn't that sum it up? Wouldn't that like be the cherry on the cake if that was true? That these are the wrong way around? Oh my goodness. To make Arabia tiered. Thank you, Joro A, for being here. Thank you very much. Oh, but this says this is the updated roadmap, right? The updated one. So they swapped it back around. So maybe they've messed it up. Very, very interesting stuff. This is much smaller than I thought it would have been. No comment on adding any changes to like how the focus trees play in terms of the puppet stuff. No fix for Lebanon. Yeah, very minor. But there's another patch next week. So maybe there will be a little bit more content related fixes in there. Maybe. All right. Also, China. China is coming. Did you notice that they played the ports of China at the end? Oh, like during the thing? They played... Ugh, getting ads. You shouldn't give me ads. Cringe. They were playing this. Right? Weren't they? Or was it the CK2 one that they were playing? I think it was this though. I'm almost certain it was this. Right? CK2 Dragon. And then there was this. Oh no, it was this. This, I think, is what they were playing. Which would make more sense considering it's CK2. Okay. Good stream. I can leave that playing. Good stuff. Good everything. Thank you for watching. I don't see any final comments. I look forward to reading the comment from that one guy that this video was too long. Well, screw you. Okay, screw you. It's a perfectly normal stream length. Okay? Oh, I cry. Bye-bye. Not long enough. No. What I need people say, oh, you should get face cam. And if you get face cam, you know, then it's like more engaging. Maybe. But then I'd have to show my face. But he's there! He said it! Oh! No, it's not him. I'm just joking. Okay. Adios. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you liked, feel free to like. Feel free to subscribe. I'll see you later. Bye!